Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on. Today, we're looking at an offering from the Ball Watch Company. This is the Ball Fireman Storm Chaser DLC Glow, 43 millimeters by 16 millimeters thick in DLC stainless steel. This is one of 1,999, a limited edition, and I think it's important first to go over terminology because some of the nomenclature of this watch can be a little misleading if you don't know Ball's background. Now, historically, the company is named after Webb C. Ball, who in 1891 was essentially empowered to create the first standards for railroad chronometers in the United States. It was important for synchronizing the travel of trains on the railways, which were developing at breakneck pace at the time. There was congestion, there were accidents, the need to actually stagger arriving and outbound trains according to the clock was an imperative. So railroad chronometry, accurate watches that could be depended upon to keep timetables were necessary, and Webb C. Ball helped to establish the standards for those watches. Now, fireman in this case derives from the idea of a locomotive fireman, the man who's actually involved in stoking the fires of the steam engine. So this is not in any way associated with firefighting. It's automotive, or it's rather locomotive steam era technology, steam era nomenclature. And in the case of Storm Chaser, that's the second element of the watch's nomenclature that's significant because Ball today likes to associate its watches with those who are scientists, those who are technicians, those who are explorers, who are in highly technical, uncompromising, physically intensive professions. And so Dr. Joshua Werman, who is actually known as a storm chaser, he is a physicist and meteorologist with an interest in tracking violent storms, is the namesake of this watch, or I should say the inspiration of this watch. Now, in a lot of ways, the storm chasers, if you recall the movie Twister, were to the Weather Channel what sharks were to the Discovery Channel, kind of the ticket to the big time, the thing that captured the public's imagination and sort of took them mainstream. And Dr. Werman has appeared on both the Discovery Channel and the Weather Channel in his capacity as an expert on the subject. He's also a prolific inventor of Doppler radar systems mounted on mobile automotive chassis that can be used for tracking these storms in real time. And that's his claim to fame that inspires this particular edition. Now, 43 millimeters, black stainless steel DLC. The watch is 16 millimeters thick, as I mentioned, on my wrist, which is 6 1/3 inches in circumference. That's about 16 centimeters for those of you in the metric territories of the world. The bottom line is the watch fits comfortably. It's on a beautiful rubberized calfskin strap with a contrasting stitch that's very, very supple against the skin. And although it does sit a little bit high, it's an elegant look. It won't fit under the tightest of dress cuffs, but it will play nice with general long sleeves that aren't too tightly cuffed. The bottom line is that this watch has a nice versatile, formal or sporty look. The combination of white, black, and red is pretty much a do-it-all combo. The black watch look is not for everyone, and that's perhaps the only limiting factor other than the thickness of the watch on the versatility of the timepiece as a dress component. But I believe that it could go with a black tie setup simply because black and black complement each other, and the watch isn't, I mean, I'd like to say it's all dial, a spare amount of bezel, and very little actual case. Looking at it from overhead, the black case doesn't present as terribly prominent. This is not like a big black Hublot. So it's a little bit more versatile than your typical all-ceramic, all-PVD watch. It doesn't strike me as quite as high in profile. Now, the thing about the dial that sets Balls apart is that they use MB Microtech's H3 tracer technology. Tracers are essentially encapsulated tritium within a little glass capsule. There's a fluorescent element, generally a phosphor of some kind, and then tritium gas. Tritium is the activator. It's not what you actually see glowing. It's the phosphor that glows, and that's how they're able to tailor the different colors. This watch includes orange, blue, and green. The little intermediate ticks between the main hour indexes glow blue. The indexes themselves glow green, and then the index at 12 o'clock glows orange. There's a lot going on with this watch in the dark, and its legibility matches something like a freshly charged Panerai Luminor. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a real light show, which is why this particular model is the Storm Chaser DLC Glow. There is a standard DLC, also uses the tracer technology from MB Microtech. The main difference is that it does not have the illuminated intermediate ticks for each of the 60 minutes between the hour indexes. This is a brighter, this is a more luminescent, more elaborate nighttime light show. It's a little fireworks display for your wrist. Now the watch uses what Ball calls the caliber 1402, that's a Valjoux 7750, automatic winding chronograph, very tough. It also features a day date. Now, not all Valjoux 7750 variants, and there's a million of them, from full-fledged grand complications to time only, but not all chronograph variants of the 7750 have the full day date. That's as it was originally designed in the early 1970s, and I like to have that complication because to me it's very practical. When you combine a watch with 100-meter water resistance, as this one has, with a chronograph with automatic winding and a day date complication, I feel like you're really getting the best of all possible modern sports watch elements, a real everyday do-it-all if you can only have one timepiece type of watch. I also want to call out the unique combination of a tachometer on the bezel, which helps you to measure speed between two fixed points. So it's assuming that between two points 1 kilometer apart, as the seconds hand, let me start it up, of the chronograph actually sweeps around the dial, from the time it takes the hand to move from the index at 12 to this 400, if an object covers the kilometer in that time, boom, you just read from the tachometer, it was moving 400 kilometers per hour. That's what the tachometer indicates. So the constant there is the distance, and you're using time to get speed. There's also a telemeter, and it's on the rehaut of the watch. It's a little harder to see, but it's just above the tick marks of the minutes, and it's actually just telemeter is printed just above the index at 12. And a telemeter, I don't want to say it works like a tachometer in reverse, but the constant in this case is the speed of sound more or less at sea level. And because this is the Storm Chaser edition, the telemeter is used in theory to time the distance from an observer to a lightning strike. You watch the lightning strike, you start the telemeter, and the farther the hand is able to migrate, the chronograph seconds hand, the further away the strike itself. And you can see right here, not quite, I would say about 4 seconds from the index. If you start the chronograph and the seconds hand moves 4 seconds across the telemeter, that means the lightning strike was 1 kilometer away. If you hear it when the hand reaches 4, and it works all the way around up to 19 kilometers. That'd be a heck of a strike to hear at 19 kilometers. But the bottom line is the tachometer is used for reading speed over a fixed distance. The telemeter is used for gauging distance using a constant, which is the speed of sound at sea level. Telemeters were originally developed, I should mention, during World War I to help with the spotting of artillery fire. Again, it worked the same way. See something, start the clock, wait for the report, and when you hear it, figure out using the telemeter how far away it was, assuming that fixed constant. Now the watch is robust, it's handsome, it's versatile, it's comfortable. It has an interesting backstory, being the Fireman Storm Chaser, and a lot of technical fascination with those tritium tracers from MB Microtech, known as the H3 system in watch applications. The watch also has a 100% complete set. It's comfortable on the wrist. It's a great versatile companion. It has that any watch complication combination with automatic winding, day date, and chronograph, as well as water resistance. Plus, it has a look, being black with red accents, that plays well pretty much with anything, and I feel is quintessentially sporty, but at the same time just formal enough to pull off a suit. Available with 100% original Ball boxes, documentation of provenance, and technical manuals. If you're looking for a watch that really is a candidate for your only timepiece, the do-it-all watch, the one for you, it just might be that this Ball Fireman Storm Chaser DLC Glow, one of 1,999 made, is the watch you want.